Good evening. I'm sure many of you have been saying, thank God it's February the 1st. And yes, the longest month of the year, January, is finally over. And as we say locally, Atini Mungu aitwe Mungu, or directly translated, let God be called God. Let's see the stories that ushered in the new month. Tonight, Mombasa's escalating insecurity. Another person attacked as night gangs terrorized the coastal city. Also, the judiciary's new rule.
10 more magistrates have been added to the Anti-Corruption Court with specific mandate.
CJ Maraga issues new directives in the wake of attack over graft cases. And the chilling details of how Marianne Kitany met her death. Plus, telltale signs that a marriage is over.
If indeed the coalition means business, they should allow Wiper to retain the seat.
Yule ambaye hawezi kustahimili joto la jikoni, basi aondoke jikoni.
You must have seen in the media, I'm shown they are naked, massaging people who are supposed to be corrupt.
And the comical side in the war on graft. It's Bullseye Friday.
NTV Weekend Edition with Mark Masai.
Thank you for joining us on NTV Weekend Edition. My co-pilot, as we will be on air for about an hour, is Flora Atieno. The Chief Justice has directed the Anti-Corruption Court to begin sitting for longer hours in a move aimed at dealing with corruption cases expeditiously. 10 more magistrates have also been assigned in the courts to specifically hear matters touching on graft, which are expected to take between 3 to 6 months to conclude. In a meeting attended by different heads of the judiciary and presided over by Chief Justice David Maraga, the judges assured that they would not interfere with the work of the Director of Public Prosecutions unless in exceptional circumstances. Ken Mijungu reports.
After more than 4 hours of a closed-door meeting attended by judiciary leaders, including presidents of various courts, the resolutions were announced.
10 more magistrates have been added to the Anti-Corruption Court with specific mandate to finalize all the pending cases. B. The Chief Justice has given written mandate to all magistrates in the Anti-Corruption Court to sit beyond the normal court working hours in order to fast-track these cases.
This decision was arrived at after it emerged that the Anti-Corruption Court takes too long to conclude their cases due to the number of magistrates available, leading to backlogs. The announcement comes exactly a week after deliberations at the National Conference on Corruption revealed that the judiciary could be the weakest link in the anti-graft war.
As of today, there are 94 pending corruption cases.
I have sat with those magistrates. We have assessed the kind of cases that we have. Some, with the cooperation of all the partners, can be finished even in three months. Others, 4 or 5 months. Some, with huge documents, will take a little longer.
Between July 2017 and December 2018, 91 cases were determined, with more than a half ending up in convictions. The DPP last week noted that some of their cases are frustrated in court and called on the judiciary to be more proactive.
The courts are committed to respecting that role, and absent exceptional circumstances, the court will not interfere with the discretion of the DPP.
All these measures an answer to last week's indictment of the judiciary.
We are doing our role. We are playing our role as a court, and of course, this is an adversarial system of litigation where everybody will complain whenever they lose cases. But we have not said that we have failed in discharging our function as courts.
The judiciary also says the directive given to judges and magistrates to issue new dates for hearing cases that are not based on advocates' diaries is on course. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
On to a case that many will be keen for the next few weeks until its logical end. The post-mortem examination on the body of the late Marianne Kitany reveals that she died as a result of trauma to the head caused by a blunt force. It is expected or suspected she was hit by what appears to be the back of a gun. According to her family, the report indicates Wamboi was hit 9 times by her alleged killers, and she had a cut on her forehead and defensive wounds on her arms. 2 people are being held in connection with her death, among them her husband Joseph Kori and his alleged lover Judy Wagoi. A 3rd woman emerged yesterday claiming that she was Kori's first wife. The case is expected to officially begin on the 10th of February after investigations have been concluded. One person is nursing injuries in Mombasa after he was attacked by a gang of 4 on Thursday night. The victim says that he met a group of 4 men armed with a machete and other crude weapons who ambushed him while he was on his way home. He says they stole his mobile phone and slashed his wrist several times. The police say they have arrested 2 people in connection with the incident. NTV's Kevin Mutai with more.
In this CCTV footage captured by a camera situated near Barca Hotel in Mombasa, this man looks like he's walking and minding his own business. But the clip reveals that he is in fact preying on unsuspecting Kenyans. The man pounces on his victim, struggling to snatch his phone, and when another person tries to intervene and help, another suspect comes to the aid of his fellow gangster with a knife in his right hand. And then they both flee into the night. Although NTV cannot independently verify whether the same gang is the one that attacked and injured another person who is nursing serious injuries in hospital, the victim says he recognized one of the attackers.
Zulapanga akataka kunipigia uso, mimi nikaeka mkono. Akapiga tena, mimi nikaeka mkono. Asaka wengine nasema mdunge muue kabisa huyo.
He says he was on his way home when he came across the attackers who questioned why he had entered their territory.
Kapanda juu kwa mamake tukamweleza kuwa mtoto wako afanya hivi na hivi na hivi. Nikishuka chini yule mtaote ingiza na njeza pale zizijuza Pakistan. Nifika pale nikaona vijana mimi wanasimama mbele yangu. Wakaniambia mbona mnkuja kwetu nyinyi? Asa mimi nataka kukimbia, sasa zile njaa wakanipiga na jiwe nikasikia kisuzi.
Hii yachangia tena yazidisha chuki ama itaisha. Maana leo ndugu yangu afanywa hivi, kesho wewe ndugu yako atakuja patikana hivyo hivyo.
Police maintain that their efforts to deal with criminal elements will be beefed up.
Tayari tumeshika vijana wawili ambaye Jumatatu watapelekwa mahakamani washtakiwe na kujeruhi huyu kijana, na ya pili kwa kumeibia simu jana, na tunatoa onyo kwa wasasi.
Police are also investigating another attack that occurred on Friday near Masjid Musa Mosque, when 2 suspected robbers attempted to rob a Mutumba shop in downtown Mombasa. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Let's now go to Kisumu County, where a military man is among 3 suspects arrested in connection with the murder of a villager in Nyakach. Michael Odongo was today arraigned in Kisumu alongside Abisai Odongo and Sylvester Oyo. They, however, did not take plea to the murder charges preferred against them after resident magistrate, Angie Odao, ordered that they undergo mental assessment.
Helidatino displaying a worn-out pair of jeans trouser and black slippers belonging to her son Kevin Onyango. Kevin was killed 10 days ago in what his family claims to have been a premeditated murder masterminded by a Kenya Defense Forces officer.
Hata kama yeye ni meja kwa army, sasa mimi nasikia anatembea kwa hii bana bunduki. Tunataka a face justice. Hiyo ndio ombi yetu.
There are 2 versions surrounding the brutal killing of the 30-year-old man, while his family insist that he was murdered over a land dispute. The owner of the bar where the killing happened told police that the deceased was lynched by a mob after a botched-up robbery.
Ulimwengu gani tumewahi kuona muizi anaenda kuvunja mali za watu usiku? Amevaa pant white shirt.
Even if I was the one who bought land here, and a son of this home where I've bought land has come to steal a super drum from me, and I've gotten him, I've tied him. Why do I kill him and I don't even tell the mother?
An autopsy report seen by NTV indicates the cause of death as circulatory collapse, and that the victim suffered 20 extensive soft tissue injuries caused by assault.
Alipigwa kabisa, alipigwa akafunja hizi nini, paka hapa walifunja paka mguu yake, hizi mguu mbili.
When reached for comment, the suspect, commonly known as Bob, declined to speak on the matter, dismissing claims by the victim's family as rumors. Last night, police arrested the military man alongside 2 other suspects and presented them in court today before Senior Resident Magistrate Angie Odao. The trio have been remanded till February 7th, when they will take a plea. Okusa, NTV.
So an ongoing investigation, officials from the National Transport and Safety Authority will be detained pending more findings for terrorism-related offences. The case is in regards to double issuing of motor vehicle registrations, one of which is connected to the car used in the 14 Riverside complex terrorist attack. They're expected back in court on February 28th this year. Mel Miendo with the details.
6 NTSA officials, 3 of whom are senior managers, appeared before Principal Magistrate Carol Nzembi on Friday afternoon. The prosecution, led by Duncan Ondimu, asked that the suspects be detained as investigations continue. The petition was granted and the 6 will now be in custody for the next 30 days.
They also required to obtain their respective call data records, M-Pesa records, and all other financial records in respect to all the respondents.
The officials are from the NTSA's IT, licensing and registration departments. They are accused of managing and facilitating a cartel for duplicating and selling motor vehicle registration plates. Among the accused is the Director of Registration and Licensing, Jacqueline Githinji, who sanctions processing of vehicle plate numbers, and the Deputy Director in charge of Registration and Licensing, Cosmas Ngeso. Anthony Kadu, who also works in Registration and Licensing, is believed to have requested Augustine Musembi, currently in police custody, to reissue the motor vehicle registration plate number KCN 340E to a Toyota Ractis car, which was used by the attackers at the 14 Riverside complex. In custody also is Stephen Mbaka, who is a clerical officer in charge of dispatching number plates, and Charles Ndongo, a clerical officer in the Department of Logbook Transfer. The 6 were arrested on January 30th at the NTSA offices by the Flying Squad, Anti-Terrorism Police and DCI detectives. Meanwhile, a Nyeri court has allowed police to release 3 terror suspects arrested in connection to the 15th January terrorist attack. Resident Magistrate Nelly Karaoke heard that investigations by the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit failed to disclose any offence, and the suspects could not be linked to the terror attack at 14 Riverside Drive that killed 21 people. The suspects, Abdul Kibiringi, James Mwai Mwangi and Habiba Gedi Hunshur, have been in remand since Monday after the court allowed the anti-terror detectives to detain them for interrogations. Malmiendo, NTV.
Jetlag Foods has defended its embattled product, Nutty's peanut butter, over the findings that it contains high levels of aflatoxins. The company instead blames poor handling of the product under review for the presence of the toxic substance in the peanut butter. The peanut butter in 800 grams packaging was yesterday withdrawn from the shelves over concerns of the presence of high levels of aflatoxins that are harmful to humans.
A day after the Director of Public Health ordered the recall of Nutty's peanut butter from the market, the management and legal team from Jetlag are out to defend their product.
We as Jetlag pride ourselves to produce the products of the highest quality with the highest integrity to be enjoyed by all our consumers.
The company's flagship Nutty's butter in the 800 grams jar was withdrawn from the market yesterday following a report from the government chemist that found very high levels of aflatoxins in the product. The sample taken from Nandi County was found to have contained more than double the allowed limits of aflatoxin. Now the company wants the government to disclose the location and state that the sample was found.
Once you produce your goods, you normally have instructions on the note. Store in certain conditions, packaged, they must be moved and kept in certain required conditions, so that whoever had the custody of this item and whichever place it was found, it has to be established that it met those conditions that were required.
According to Jetlag, the handling of the product on the market may have contributed to its contamination.
Aflatoxin is a question of storage, because if you store maize badly, it will result in a certain condition. If you store wheat badly, it will result in a certain condition.
The protestation notwithstanding, the company says it has submitted samples to the government as well as engaged private chemists to sample the same batch with the view of establishing the truth about the aflatoxin presence in the peanut butter. Brenda Wanga, NTV, Nairobi.
The latest push by the Parliamentary Service Commission to have former members of Parliament who lost their seats in 2017 paid about 7 million shillings each as a send-off package has elicited different reactions in the country. If Treasury succumbs to this pressure, it will be forced to allocate 2.1 billion shillings in the supplementary budget to pay the former MPs. A section of policy experts view this latest move as the usual culture of entrenching greed at the expense of public service delivery in the country.
Members of Parliament are at it again. This is after it emerged that the Parliamentary Service Commission, which caters for their welfare, is pushing Treasury to have more than 300 former members of Parliament paid 7 million shillings each as send-off package. The Commission wants Treasury to allocate 2.1 billion shillings in the supplementary budget. Policy expert Karuti Kanyinga says this latest move has not come as a surprise as far as the legislature is concerned.
Former members of parliament are clearly demonstrating greed, which is highly associated with the culture that we have had in this country among politicians. And greed that is focused much more not on mobilization of revenue, not on mobilization of resources, or a greed that is concerned not about how to bake the cake, but how to eat the cake even before you have baked it.
After the former MPs lost their seats in the 2017 general elections, the pension department paid them 5.9 million shillings each as an exit package.
A concern regarding the
Professor Karuti says this exhibits the disconnect between what politicians want to be done and what they want for their own gratification.
Look at how politicians, including members of county assemblies, are behaving in this country for the last 10 years. One can see very clearly that it's not a question of lack of policy. Every time we have a new parliament, every time we have a new National Assembly, the first thing they go for is increasing their salaries and wanting to run the Salaries and Remuneration Commission out of town.
Currently, former speakers Francis Kaparo, Ekwe Ethuro, and retired Chief Justice Willy Mutunga are locked in a standoff with the Treasury, demanding higher pension benefits and monthly pension payments, opposing figures that have been set by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission (SRC). Kaparo also wants an armored four-wheel drive vehicle bought and fueled by taxpayers, while Mutunga and Ethuro are demanding a monthly pension of 1.6 million shillings, besides a lump sum payment of 24 million shillings each and a monthly fuel allowance of 300,000 shillings each.
Chief Justice Willy Mutunga has got a right as the former hand of an arm of government to demand what the law required him to get as the head of the judiciary. The same can be said about former speakers.
Professor Karuti feels the high rate of corruption in the country is what is causing the demands of high pay among public officials. Parliament resumes its sessions from recess on 12th February, with PSC's expectations to have their demands in the supplementary budget approved by members of the House. Vincent Odur, NTV.
To greater administrative concerns in the country, and President Uhuru Kenyatta put his cabinet secretaries on notice before he departed for Tanzania on Thursday evening. The president had earlier held the first cabinet meeting this year after weeks of speculation that a cabinet reshuffle was in the offing. Political commentators now say that the time has come for President Uhuru Kenyatta to reorganize his cabinet if he is to deliver on his agenda. Silas Apollo reports on why the head of state has been reluctant to crack the whip, the politics surrounding his tough talk, and what may be lying ahead as he races against time to deliver on his agenda.
A tough-talking President Uhuru Kenyatta is said to have warned his cabinet against politicking and instead deliver on the Jubilee agenda. Sources within State House say the head of state was disappointed by the fact that some CSs had chosen politics at the expense of their dockets. And if tweets sent out by the president's account shortly after the cabinet meeting is anything to go by, then the message was loud and clear: shape up or ship out. But even as this unfolded, questions are being asked on why the president has failed to fire some of the non-performing ministers.
Since independence, nobody has been as reluctant as Uhuru in terms of firing ministers. I doubt that it's because of the negotiation between him and Ruto. Because if that were the case, then you could fire Ketel but still ask Ruto for another cabinet secretary.
The president on Thursday evening addressed a roadside rally in Kitengela on his way to Arusha for the East African Summit, where he reiterated his call.
Yetu sisi ni kazi. Wakuje hapa Kitengela, wawaulize nyinyi shida yenu ni nini, wawaulize tabu za Kitengela ni gani, na sisi kama serikali tutawasaidia kwa njia gani. Sio kuja hapa kuwaletea porojo na siasa ya dunia ambayo hakuna kitu ambayo itasaidia mtu.
The statements by the president comes in the backdrop of a cabinet reshuffle, which commentators say will have implication on some of the non-performing CSs.
I think for now it is the politics of the handshake, the politics of 2022. I think every move he makes must be a calculated move, and he must consider the reaction from Ruto and his people.
Manyora says that the reshuffle may be inevitable if President Kenyatta is keen on delivering on his agenda.
I think he's about to make a major move. So if that major move that may include a shake-up in his cabinet and his government in general might just have to wait until the opportune time, and that again will affect whether or not he can reshuffle his cabinet now.
Earlier Thursday, Ruto had issued a statement warning those campaigning on his behalf to stop, saying that priority should be given on delivering on the Jubilee's agenda.
Sisi wote tusimame nyuma ya Mheshimiwa Rais ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba Kenya yetu inaungana. Sisi wote tunatembea barabara moja, tunakabiliana na ufisadi.
As it stands now, the head of state remains firm that he will stop at nothing until his development agenda is implemented. Silas Apollo, NTV.
It's 21 and Silas Apollo's report brings us to our first break here on NTV Weekend Edition. Don't go too far, I'll be back shortly.
Mark Masai.
Thank you for staying with us. A Nakuru lady has accused 2 gospel artists of raping her and leaving her with a sexually transmitted infection. DK Kwenye Beat, one of the accused musicians, has since apologized to his fans and his longtime girlfriend, saying that he has turned a new leaf and rededicated himself to God. The other gospel artist, Hope Kid, has remained mum on the issue, choosing to distance himself from his co-accused.
The Nakuru-based woman aged 20 says that she had approached Hope Kid for an opportunity to feature in his music video, a request that was met with the indecent proposal. She will then be taken by Hope Kid to DK Kwenye Beat's home in Donholm, where she says she was forced into having sex with both musicians. The lady returned home to Nakuru and will make a second trip to Nairobi on DK Kwenye Beat's request. The two were intimate for a second time, after which she discovered she had contracted sexually transmitted infections that have left her depressed, engaged in self-harm and contemplating suicide. DK has since reached out to his fans for forgiveness, saying that he returned to the straight and narrow path soon after the incident.
I would just request you to stand with us in prayers so that we can be led by the Holy Spirit and stay in the altar and stay in the presence. Keep us in your prayers and stand with us.
Hope Kid is yet to comment on the incident.
The Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Protection, Ukur Yatani, has urged the Kenya National Union of Nurses to suspend its planned strike. The CS says he has appointed a conciliation committee that will look into the issues before filing a report within 30 days. The nurses issued a strike notice for February 4th, citing that the comprehensive return to work agreement had not been implemented fully.
The chair of this committee will be assisted by representatives from our key social partners, that is the Federation of Kenya Employers and Central Organization of Trade Union, ACOTU. In view of this development, I urge the Kenya National Union of Nurses to suspend the intended industrial action and give the conciliation process and dialogue a chance so that the matter can be effectively processed at that level.
Marianne Kitany has been allowed back into her Runda home by Milimani Court, while her estranged husband, legislator Mithika Linturi, has been barred from accessing the home. Kitany had sued her husband early in the year, accusing him of forging signatures to secure a 530 million shilling loan using her property as collateral. Trouble for the two began last year when Linturi kicked Kitany out of their matrimonial home, claiming that he was never married to the woman by law.
The court's decision Friday proved to be another hurdle for Meru Senator Mithika Linturi and a win for his estranged partner Mary Kitany. In December last year, she got a little reprieve in their legal battle when the court granted orders allowing her to collect her belongings from the house at the center of a fight with the senator. In its ruling today, the court allowed Kitany access back into the home to live and run its affairs, pending the determination of divorce proceedings and a property dispute, which are pending in different courts.
My client, Marianne Kitany, had filed a matter to prohibit the respondent, Senator Honorable Mithika Linturi, from evicting her from her property in Runda, which she built by her own self, property that her children and the senator's children have been residing in.
The court has barred the Meru senator from entering the home, but the order does not affect their children. In an earlier ruling, the court warned him against threats to engage in cultural or customary rites or practices that abuse Kitany. The magistrate further barred the senator from damaging or threatening to damage any of Kitany's property.
The court has identified the vulnerability of women who are in a relationship that has schemed to be a fraud.
In filed case documents, the senator said that he only allowed Ms. Kitany into the Mayridge County Villas house as a guest and that she had been in a monogamous marriage with another man. He told the court that Kitany owns several multi-million shilling properties and assets through her children and close relatives as proxy, or from which she can comfortably get excellent accommodation. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
The University of Nairobi Charter of the Academic Staff Union has backed Education Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed's recent appointment to the offices of Deputy Vice Chancellor in the institution. According to WASU, the appointees all meet the requirements based on merit, and they called on all stakeholders and the University of Nairobi Council to give those appointed their unreserved support.
Those championing selfish interests through politicking this process or politicizing this process should desist and allow the Ministry of Education and other government agencies, together with the University Council, to resolve this matter in an amicable way and maintain the tranquility and good working relationship in the university. The Attorney General, whose advice has been sought regarding this matter, should be allowed to process and issue the same in an unpolluted environment. We call upon all parties to respect the opinion that will be issued by the AG.
You're watching NTV Weekend Edition. The new kid on the block from our business desk, that is Julian Amboko, is waiting to transact with you after the break. The planned takeover of oil marketing company Renewable has been halted following a court injunction issued by the Employment and Labour Relations Court in Nairobi on the 30th of January 2019. The injunction has been secured by former Renewable executive Patrick Kondo, who is seeking 27 million shillings in compensation for what he terms as unfair termination of employment in 2017. This adds on to the woes the deal has confronted given the Capital Market Authority's ongoing investigation into possible insider trading in the shares of Renewable days ahead of the announcement of the planned takeover in November 2018. The sale of Renewable shares to French firm Rubis Energy commenced on January 14, 2019 and was due for completion on February 18, 2019. Let's switch gears to matters energy, and Kenya and other African countries will need to invest in green energy in order to ensure stable electricity supply and realize the much-needed sustainable economic development. According to experts at a just concluded two-day Renewable Energy Conference in Nairobi, renewable energy is a win-win investment opportunity for the continent.
Kenya's trade deficit crossed the 1 trillion shillings mark for the first time in 2017, highlighting the country's local production challenge that has seen it export a few raw products and import more finished goods. This challenge, like in many African countries, has been blamed on the lack of sufficient and reliable energy. Currently, the Kenyan government is targeting to raise the contribution of the local manufacturing sector to the country's gross domestic product GDP from 9.2% currently to 15% by 2022. Experts, however, argue that the much-needed growth should be realized on a path of clean energy in order to ensure the development remains sustainable.
When you talk about renewable energy, we are talking of wind, we are talking of solar, we are talking of geothermal, we are talking of hydro. These are real issues we have to deal with. And the beauty of it is it's reliable, there's certainty, and it really addresses the core of carbon emissions.
But while Kenya has been making significant investments in the renewable energy sector, the government is also pursuing massive coal plants in Kitui and Lamu.
The countries that have actually developed today, they went through a route of dirty energy in one way or another. And there will be an argument that what used to be dirty, there is nowadays a technology that can make it green so that it doesn't necessarily pollute the environment as it ought. Is it practical to go in the route that we cannot be talking on one side we want to do coal plant and the other side we are talking of renewable energy.
Renewable energy currently accounts for about 70% of Kenya's current installed generation capacity of about 2,600 megawatts. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Let's talk about matters debt. With the government keen to raise capital to undertake various development projects and adequately handle its massive recurrent expenditure, the Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Markets Authority, Paul Muthaura, is urging the government to consider a shilling-denominated capital-raising initiative. Here's Alex Mwangi to tell us why the CMA is convinced that that option is the most suitable under the current local and global economic circumstances.
The government's appetite for another Eurobond remains healthy, given the history of oversubscription that it has previously encountered. As a way of boosting the local economy, the Chief Executive of the Capital Markets Authority is now recommending that the next such loan be shilling denominated.
Although there is undoubted appetite for Kenya issuances in hard currency, we think it's time for the market to start testing the appetite for Kenya shilling issuances, which can also allow for a bit more, allows to manage the volatility risk a bit better.
The quest to raise hundreds of billions of shillings or possibly even over 1 trillion shillings will test the depth of the Kenyan market in a unique way that is unprecedented. The country, however, needs to strive to maintain its position as the region's economic powerhouse.
But from our perspective, especially where you're having substantial issuances of local currency offshore, that then creates an alternative environment in which you could find that pricing around Kenyan shilling-denominated debt offshore might start reflecting market perceptions around that currency.
The CMA's officials spoke during the release of the Capital Markets Authority's soundness report for the fourth quarter of 2018. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Moving on, tea farmers continue to experience a harsh tide, with prices at the Mombasa auction declining to a 5-year low from the previous sale, even as the volume went down. The commodity traded at 206 shillings per kilo in last week's sale, from 208 shillings a kilo recorded in the previous trading, according to a market report from the East African Traders Association. The performance of tea has highly declined from a high of 287 shillings a kilo last year. During the trading, the quantities of tea reduced by 288,000 kilograms to 9.6 million kilograms at the auction. Moving on to the capital markets, it has been a favorable week for investors at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, with the stock market posting the strongest week-on-week gain since the start of 2019. The market capitalization closed Friday's trade at 2.3 trillion shillings, pointing at a 120 billion shillings gain in paper wealth compared to the close of last week. The week's trading activity was dominated by Safaricom, which moved shares worth 2.8 billion shillings, accounting for 47% of the traded value. On the corporate action front, the week witnessed the approval of the merger between CBA and NIC banks by the boards of the respective banks, with the NIC share closing Friday's trade at 34 shillings and 75 cents, posting a 20% gain from last week's close. And up next is Food Friday with Zainab.
The rapidly changing climate is forcing farmers to rethink how they do their agriculture, because as the fertility of the soil declines and water scarcity continues to bite and the overall productivity of the crop also declines, the farmer has to think about where he's going to get water for his crops, how he's going to improve the fertility of the soil, and how he's going to get more value out of his crop. Now, this is where things like irrigated small-scale agriculture comes in, which is what farmers across the country are starting to go big with, and even using simple things such as traditional manure to improve the fertility of the soil. Now, this farmer here is a passion fruit farmer, and he uses this manure mixed with the normal manure to improve the fertility of the soil and hopefully get bigger fruit than this. Now, Food Friday this week is in Meru County, and we'll be telling you how farmers in this county are surviving climate change.
John Mwendwa is busy sorting through his eggplants, readying them for the market. It has to be done carefully, he says, by color, shape and size, according to the cosmetic preferences of the market.
Sasa ina mzuri kabisa, unaona rangi hiyo ya black ndio sasa wanataka kabisa. Ukiwapelekea kama hii unaweza tupa zote, na hiyo ni hasara kwako.
Such little differences, he says, along with how much harvest he gets, are determined right from the farm based on how much water and fertilizer the crop received.
Raundi iliyopita nilikuwa nimepanda watermelon. Nikapanda mbegu ya 10,000. Nilivuna 3,000. Na hiyo mbegu nilikuwa nimetumia vitu mingi, boreo, fertilizer na kila kitu, na sikupata kitu.
Frequent drought emergencies in eastern Kenya have caused farmers crop losses every time drought strikes, forcing many to quit farming entirely. But small-scale irrigation projects are giving farmers hope again, taking water from rivers like this one to quench the thirst of farms more than 20 kilometers away. Mwendwa and Ezekiel are among the thousands of farmers whose hope has been renewed, releasing them from dependence on rain-fed agriculture.
Wakati nataka kupanda ndizi, napanda wakati ule nataka. Na nikitumia maji, kama nikitaka kupanda Agosti, napanda.
Across the border in Tharaka Nithi County, Justin Kaburu is busy preparing silage. He has been a dairy farmer for more than 10 years now, starting off with just one cow. Today he has a herd of 32, milking 8, and with an average yield of 300 liters a day. Times of drought are tough, and he has seen many of his neighbors lose their animals. He stores the silage in pit silos.
Alafu unaweka majani kwanza, unakanyanga na hiyo drum. Usipofinyilia mzuri, hiyo hewa iwe huko, utakuwa umetengeneza mbolea.
He has several pits scattered beneath his banana plantation.
Yeah.
And just staying with matters food, we are informed that steady decline in food prices has pushed January inflation to 4.7%, which should be a relief to quite a number of households. Up next is the financial report.
NTV Financial Report in association with the University of Nairobi. Apply online through application.unbi.ac.ke. The University of Nairobi is a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
And as tea prices go down, the stock market is looking up. That's it for the business this evening. Good evening.
Time to tickle your fancy. The anti-graft war in Kenya is giving rise to all manner of artists. It has produced many top-notch actors, and as recently as last week, comedians too have emerged. It's all about saying something that suggests you're loathing for graft anywhere, anytime, and quarrels around who is sleeping on the job. The rivalries are intense, and as Emmanuel Juma now reports on Bullseye, the handshake happened, and with it came sibling rivalries.
Nataka nitoe?
Yes.
Shadow.
Kuna
shadow?
Yes.
Bas.
That's nothing compared to the shadow boxing you're about to receive from your coalition partner, the Orange Party.
Kura zikapigwa, zikaibiwa, mwizi amepatikana, tunarudi kwenye debe.
Now, that's not shadow boxing anymore. It is real boxing and punches are flying.
Even my brothers in ODM, that this is a Wiper seat. Therefore, in the spirit of handshake, we should see them coming to campaign for Mawathe. And in fact, the best I can do is even to withdraw their candidate.
Chama cha Wiper kilibenefit sana kutokana na utu wa chama cha ODM.
As usual, Steve remains optimistic, still taking the middle ground.
Wengine ambao wana mafikira tofauti wajue kwamba the NASA Summit hatuja keti tukasema tuvunjilia mbali NASA.
Sisi hatuna lolote la kujutia. Hii ni ushindano kwa sababu tuko katika mfumo wa kidemokrasia wa vyama vingi.
Get angry, Steve. At least this once.
The only seat Wiper iko nayo hapa Nairobi. The only seat. If indeed the coalition means business, they should allow Wiper to retain this seat. If they don't, believe you me, it's going to be rough for our competitors.
Yule ambaye hawezi kustahimili joto la jikoni, basi aondoke jikoni.
Yes. Yeah. Friendly fire coming up in Embakasi South as Sumra refuses to leave the dance floor. And as for Mawathe,
let me do it. Let me do it.
He just wants them to let him be. He can do it on his own. It will be a battle of two. And here it was all about pairing up. Bad choice of music perhaps, but they were in twos, right? But why? You may be wondering.
Na mimi nimewaambia, na hata leo nimekuwa na baraza ya waziri, na nimewaambia, wewe kama huko tayari kufanyia wananchi kazi na jukumu lako ni siasa, piga about turn. Vijana niko nao wengi ambao wako tayari kufanya kazi.
Each needs a shoulder to lean on or even cry on. Who knows? After all, the house on the hill is becoming ever so hot. As for these two, so energetic and no kucheza here. Rashid was rushing. As for the bulging briefcase, how will they know he's working hard? It's all about strategy.
Umesikia ile rais amesema? Rais amesema mchezo kando, fitina kando, siasa kando, ufisadi nyuma.
You see? And he does not fear staying in the kitchen, however hot it may get.
Don't worry about what social media says. Huyu naibu wa rais akifikiria hayo hata hawezi toka kwa nyumba asubuhi.
Your friend will never walk alone, Ishungwa. Many are those who are suffering like him.
You must have seen in the media, I'm shown they are naked massaging people who are supposed to be corrupt.
Sorry, Bwana CJ. Some consolation perhaps from Babangina.
I found it very interesting. I saw you were very angry today. Especially with one group in our society called bloggers. And I remember there was a time, we wanted to pass a law to stop these people from insulting all of us left, right, and center. But then, it was taken to court, and the court decided it was unconstitutional.
Bad boy UK.
We are not going to win the war against corruption by those kind of gimmicks.
So just like the rest of us, get used to it. Because
Remind us, all this because of what again, William?
Ufisadi nyuma.
The AG has the perfect weapon for that.
Piga rungu, pali zote, piga rungu.
What a lovely phrase. It can even be a song.
Ufisadi nyuma. Piga rungu, pali zote, piga rungu. Ufisadi nyuma. Piga rungu, pali zote, piga rungu. Ufisadi nyuma. Tupige nini? Tupige rungu.
There goes a new anti-corruption song. Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
I didn't know EJ, Emmanuel Juma, as we call him in the newsroom, has a production touch. And from that, let's get to a nice moment from the team as well. It was a moment of joy as a young girl's dream of joining high school was fulfilled. NTV, along with well-wishers, came to the aid of the girl named Stella. Her identity has been concealed due to an ongoing case. NTV's Anita Nkonge has more.
Exactly 1 week ago, Kenyans heard the plight of a young girl whose dreams were put on hold when her family were unable to help further her studies. Today, her hopes and dreams can continue after NTV, along with well-wishers, took it upon themselves to help educate her and push her towards her dreams of becoming a neurosurgeon.
Still in her old primary school uniform, a nervous Stella, not her real name, made her way to her dream school, Loreto Kiambu Girls High School. It was a school she felt was beyond reach not too long ago. Greeted by her soon-to-be teachers, the process to settle her in began, the paperwork. Fitting her uniform that would be part of her identity for the next 4 years. Visibly excited, Stella was a contrast of who she was a few days ago. With 343 marks in her KCPEs, her dreams of becoming a neurosurgeon was in limbo due to lack of school fees. A fifth born of 10, her mother had struggled to raise children with an absent and alcoholic father. But today, joining high school almost a month after the official Form 1 admission date has been made possible by well-wishers who came to her aid.
As NTV, we aired her story and we felt the need to help and bring her to school and empower her and help her realize her dreams.
For those who kindly supported me financially and give me support, I kindly thank them.
Stella's story is just one of many who cannot raise the resources to pursue their education, but whose potential is undeniable.
When you educate a girl, you educate a whole village. So for us to be part of this journey with this young one just goes to say that we support that dream, and we also pray that going forward she'll be able to live up to her full potential.
Anita Nkonge, NTV.
To that young Stella, kwao masomo piga rungu kabisa. All the exams piga, well, I don't know if that really applies, but all the best in your studies, Stella. We are with you and we stand with you. Glad to see that you are in class. And up next is a sports with the beautiful Ida Waringa, and I believe that's why she has a second name as Waringa. She has a sports of the day up next. Stay with us.
Very good Friday evening to you. Let's get into the world of sport. I'm Ida Warenga. Now, history was made Friday when the Vipingo Ridge PGA Baobab course in Kilifi County played host to the inaugural International Pro-Am, pitting 52 Kenyan amateurs and 13 visiting professionals from the Ladies European Tour. Notable amateurs included Muthaiga's Christina Anderson, Karen's Charles and Betty Gasheru, former ladies amateur champion Naomi Wafula and youngster Andrew Wahome from Nyali. 13-year-old Nyali junior Alisa Jamal also took to the course. The tour professional players who are making a stopover in Kenya en route to the Australian Ladies Classic Bonneville are all ranked in the top 100. The event, sponsored by Magical Kenya and Safaricom's M-Pesa, bids to promote Kenyan golf and its unique golfing destinations to the world.
We are here to promote ladies golf, and we want Kenya to have a female tournament. You have 2 male tournaments.
My playing pro today is Florentina Parker from England, and she's won 3 tours, and it will be a good, have fun, and I'll learn a lot from them. I'll see how they do it and how they've managed to make it to here.
Well, quite the event there. Let's move on. Eric Muthomi Riungu, Isaac Kipkoech and Ronald Kiptai Matakat are the most recent Kenyan athletes to be sanctioned by the Athletics Integrity Unit. Riungu, whose infraction was caught at the Glacier 3000 Marathon in Switzerland back in 2017, faces a 2-year ban, of which he has already covered half. 2017 Baringo Half Marathon champion Isaac Kipkoech, who failed a doping test during the 2017 Eldoret Family Bank Half Marathon, will conclude his year-and-a-half ban in April this year. Kiptai, who was served with a 2-year ban after the 2017 Laikipia University Half Marathon, will be eligible for competition in March 2020. This does come in the wake of Jemima Sumgong's 8-year ban from competition by the IAAF Disciplinary Tribunal. Well, the National Sevens rugby team will kick off their Sydney Sevens leg of the World Rugby Sevens Series campaign against Canada at 1:44 a.m. Shujas will then play Hamilton Sevens finalists USA at 7:34 a.m. and conclude their Pool B matches against France at 11:17 a.m. Head coach Paul Murunga received a boost when his assistant Kevin Bling Wamboa jetted into Sydney to complement his services. Bling, who missed out on the Dubai, Cape Town and Hamilton Sevens legs due to the ongoing financial crunch at the Kenya Rugby Union. However, the team's strength and conditioning coach Mike Shamir is not in Sydney. Well, all the best to the Shujas there. Kenya's oldest rugby tournament, the Enterprise Cup, takes center stage this weekend in a changed format that sees the competition held in between Kenya Cup games. Nairobi will host 3 preliminary round matches. Now, Kenya Harlequins host Ngong Warriors at the RFUEA grounds. Strathmore Leos take on JKUAT at Madaraka, while Mean Machine play Masinde Muliro University. In the Western region, Resolution Kisii will face University of Eldoret. Western Bulls meet the Egerton Wasps, while Kisumu RFC welcome the South Coast Pirates. Enterprise Cup was first held in 1930. Well, to some football now, and Kenyan Premier League leaders Mathare United face bottom of the table Mount Kenya United at the Afraha Stadium in Nakuru in one of the 3 KPL matches lined up on Saturday afternoon. The 2008 champions, coached by Francis Kimanzi, topped the standings on 24 points, having yet to lose a match in 10 outings, with 7 wins to its name, while Mount Kenya, under the tutelage of American Melis Meadow, is yet to win this season. In the 4:15 p.m. kickoff at Afraha, hosts Lindsay Stars will tackle Chemelil Sugar. At the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos, John Kamau's Poster Rangers will face 3rd-placed Robert Matano's Tusker FC. And to some fast cars now. In the 2019 Kenya National Rally Championship, KNRC begins early Saturday morning, with the KCB Nakuru leg having attracted 19 entries so far that include a majority of the leading KNRC drivers. Headlining the list are newly crowned national champions Carl Flash Tundo and Tim Jessop in their Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10. The Rift Valley Motorsports Club organized event will see the reduction of entry fees, hence the return of several drivers after a short layoff. The rally will be centered in Nakuru County and Mogosho in Baringo County. Cars will be flagged off outside KCB Mogosho branch at 7 a.m. Drivers will cover a total distance of 324 kilometers, out of which 163 kilometers will be competitive. Crossing those borders, and Tottenham and Newcastle will both be seeking a third.
How you say it, Ida Warenga.
Lazima niringe.
Good ring to it, good ring to it. Thank you so much for the sports.
Thank you so much.
Your editor was telling us an advert, 30-second advert, is worth $500 million Kenyan shillings.
Exactly.
Is it $500 million?
Yes, it's 500 million shillings for 30 seconds. You know, that's the economy of a small town somewhere in Africa, Mark.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Let's head on out here as we rethink our lives and the professions that we've taken up. Thank you to the whole team that's made NTV Weekend Edition possible. You can say goodnight to your viewers.
Have a very good night. I'm Ida Warenga once again.
Up next is The Trend with Amina Abdi Rabar. I like to roll the R. A lot of entertainment coming up. I see DJ Euphoric setting up the decks behind the scenes and people already talking in studio. I think that's
our cue.
Yeah.
That's our cue to leave.
Yeah. All right, let's go.